Her name has become synonymous with a demand for justice. The rape and murder of 5-year-old Khadija Sakho has cast a spotlight on the epidemic of violence against women and girls in Sierra Leone. But will little Khadija get the justice she deserves? We'll bring you the very latest on the investigation. Plus,
real men don't say! Real men don't say!
He was among those who took to the streets in memory of Khadija. But for Santos Santigi Kamara, this mission is deeply personal. Hear why he says he's speaking up against rape and joining the fight for change. Also ahead, the pace of life in Africa appears unchanged, leading to growing concerns amongst public health experts about the spread of the coronavirus. And now, a warning from the WHO.
The outbreak is accelerating, and we have clearly not reached the peak of the pandemic.
With more than 200,000 cases in South Africa alone, we're speaking to the man leading that country's pandemic response to find out what could be ahead for his country and the rest of the continent. All that, plus your comments and questions. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. It is good to have you with us. We are grateful for your time. We have a very busy show for you, so let's dive in. It has been 3 weeks since little Khadija Sakho was raped and murdered in Freetown, Sierra Leone. And in that time, people have taken to the streets and there have been growing calls for justice. Police investigation has been underway, as we know, and a number of individuals are in custody. But where do things stand with that investigation? And also, what is the country's track record when it comes to successful prosecutions of this kind of case? What's the rate of justice? What's the pace of these proceedings? We want to dig into all of this now. Asma James, who is a journalist and activist, joins me from Freetown with the very latest. Asma, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Hello, everyone.
Asma, bring us up to speed with the latest as you know it on this investigation into what happened to Khadija Sakho.
Well, Aisha, nothing has really changed because the file is still at the DPP's office, and today, this afternoon, I spoke to the DPP, the head of the DPP, and he indeed confirmed that he still has the files. As you know, Hello, Aisha?
Hello, I'm here. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, Aisha. So as it is now, a few days ago, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice was fired and a new Justice Minister came in. And I tried to talk to the new Justice Minister, but as you know, he just came in yesterday. He actually took oath yesterday, and he started working today officially. But then I called up the head of the DPP's office, and he said all the files are in the office of the new Attorney General and Minister of Justice. And he's according to what he told me, he said by next week, he's trying to speed up the matter so that this matter will go, so they will charge the matter to court. And also they still have 5 people in custody. I asked about the people in custody, and they said because it involved murder, so they are still there until until the DPP's office charge the matter to court. So hopefully next week there will be good news with regards sending the matter to court.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, of the 5 individuals who are in custody, have they been formally charged?
They have not, because like I said, there's a new attorney general and he needs to look at the file. So according to the DPP, he said they want to take their time to look at all the evidences because they don't want to send the matter to court, and in the end there is no sufficient evidence as it's used to be in other matters. So he said they are trying to look at the files as best as they could to see that there is enough evidence to charge the matter to court. But he guaranteed that by next week, and he's speeding up the whole process to see that this matter is charged to court.
Okay, before I get to the broader issue of the way the judiciary operates, I want to ask one last question on the investigation itself. At this stage, what is your understanding in terms of the scale of the investigation, in terms of people that have been spoken to? How wide have they cast the net? What have you been able to learn?
Aisha, I saw the file of the file they took to the DPP's office. I can tell you it's up to 75 to 80 pages. It's a huge bulk of papers, statements from all 5 people. They've gone to the scene of crime. They've gone to where they did the post-mortem. They've gone to where the late Khadija's sister IJ is, and they've spoken to different people. And when the last time I went to the family support unit, they showed me the file before it was taken to the DPP's office. It's really huge, and so you really need the DPP's office to carefully look at those documents to see that when they are charged to court, first off, they are charged with the right charges are given, because often in time that's a problem. You charge people and then you go to court, there's no evidence. So the DPP is so particular about this that they don't want to charge. First off, the case is all over. According to him, the people in custody have been tried already by the public, and so they are trying as the body responsible to give justice, to see that they try as best as possible to give this whatever charges they are giving them is what evidences they've collected so far. But I've spoken to lots and lots of people that I can attest to, because I've seen some of the file and some of what the people they've spoken to.
I mean, the statement, or certainly, as you say, the individual saying that they've been tried in the court of public opinion, high-profile cases often get attention, and that's just something that they have to navigate, and that happens across the world. So it's not unique to Sierra Leone. In terms of the way this case is being handled, you're an activist. You followed many cases and seen some succeed, some fail in court. Is this case being handled differently? Does anything stand out for you in terms of the way this case is proceeding, this investigation, and as it's proceeded now to DPP?
Yes, I can say yes, because when you call the FSU, they are always ready to answer your question. When you call the DPP's office, they are also ready to answer to any question you ask them. So, and then the way they're taking their time to investigate the matter is also one that I've seen some difference in when it comes to other cases that I've also followed in court. So, and again, because everybody's attention is on this matter, so the police is also took their time to investigate it properly to make sure that when this matter goes to court, they won't say there is not enough evidence. And so it's kind of different. And this also involves murder. We also have in murder and also sexual penetration. So it's actually 2 separate cases. Well, they were investigating 2 separate matters. So I'm not sure which one will come first, or if both the sexual penetration and the murder will come together that is all what we are all looking forward to see what the DPP's office will actually charge the matter with.
And just before I let you go, just quickly, typically, what is the pace for these kinds of cases when they get to court? How quickly, how slowly do they move? What have you seen in the past? Asma, are you still with me? We may have lost Asma. Asma, have I lost connection with you, Asma? Yes, we have. Asma James joining us there from Freetown, Sierra Leone, with the very late.
Hi, Aisha. I think it's on now. I lost connection.
We lost connection. Just very quickly, it's good to have you back to just answer this question, to give us perspective. Typically speaking, in the courts in Sierra Leone, these kinds of cases, how fast, how slowly do they move?
Well, actually, we see this one to be different, but many a time we see cases go very, very, very slow in courts, very slow. And this is because sometimes families try to...
What are we talking about? Years?
Many a time we see maybe the families will want to compromise the matter sometimes to get witness. I think I've lost you again, Aisha.
No, I can hear you. We can hear you. Okay, we're going to, I think we get the gist of it. We've lost Asma. There's a problem with her connection today. We're going to leave it there. Again, she did say that typically these cases take a pretty long time in Sierra Leone, and we know that according to some data that I've seen, there's less than a 3% conviction rate. And by some data also, these cases can take, in some cases, multiple years. So certainly we are going to continue to shine a spotlight on this case and basically every other case that makes its way to court. Full disclosure, Asma and I and Idris Elba and a host of other activists across Sierra Leone are joining forces to launch a Survivors Solidarity Fund. This fund is to raise money to support survivors of sexual violence, to help them get back on the road to recovery, to help them secure justice. Asma James, myself, Idris Elba, co-chairing the Survivor Solidarity Fund. The thinking here is that, as we understand the situation in Sierra Leone, survivors don't get enough support. They don't get enough support on the medical front. They don't get enough support to launch legal bids. So we are launching this fund. We have joined forces to change that. The money will go to 4 local organizations which are currently providing free medical and legal services to survivors. But I also just want to make clear that as we launch this effort, which we formally launched globally today, it is not just about raising money. It is also about asking everyone to use their voice and their power to shine a light on this culture of rape that is afflicting not just Sierra Leone, but many, many countries on the continent and around the world. So please check out the website, give whatever you can afford, use your voice, your position to make a change. All right. We were just speaking to Asma there, who has been fighting for these issues and for survivors and victims for a very long time. And very often when we talk about this epidemic of violence, we're talking to women, we're talking to female activists. But the men, some of the young men in Sierra Leone have also decided to take a stand. Take a look at this young man.
I'm not here because I'm alive. I'm here because I have the spirit in me. And I believe the justice I'm seeking for is going to happen. Whether now or tomorrow, it's going to happen. Because unless we force the system will not come to us. Now we get to force the system for the work. The system is not working. We are tired. We are sick. This country needs deliverance.
We are tired, we are sick, this country needs deliverance. Leading that chant there is Santos Santigi Kamara. He's a male activist who's taken a lead role in the fight for women in Sierra Leone, and he's here to tell us more about the work he's doing. And I'm so pleased that he is there. He's joining us from Freetown. Santos, can you hear me? Santos, will you unmute, please? Hi there. Hi, Santos.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for making time to be with us today. We appreciate it. And thank you for taking a stand for women and girls in Sierra Leone. Talk to me about why you decided to get involved in this and to take to the streets for Khadija. Why?
Because the issue is I witnessed gender-based violence as a child, and it has affected my whole life. Because my mom is a survivor of domestic violence, and having grown up in a home where I witnessed domestic violence, it affected my childhood. But as I'm growing up, I've transformed that stigma I've grown up with to being somebody who witnessed domestic violence to something at least I can able to advocate for what my mom experienced for other people not to experience it. And my mom has been pushing me to say, you need to go there to be on the front line to fight for those women and girls. I have experienced this. I don't wish for other people to experience this. That's why I've been joining colleagues, and I also have my own platform also to ensure that we provide legal assistance, even though we don't have lawyers within our organization. But sometimes when we have these rape issues related to our organization, we collaborate, we partner with other institutions that have the means, so we can at least foster justice for these individuals, those rape victims and survivors in Sierra Leone. That's why I decided to join this fight.
I mean, it's amazing work, and we're grateful for every single person who's joining hands. As a man, I mean, what goes through your mind? I mean, you've already talked about your mother's situation and having witnessed it. What goes through your mind when, as a young man there in Sierra Leone, regularly you hear of these awful cases of women and girls being attacked? Tell me what goes through your mind, the feelings that brings up in you.
Aisha, honestly speaking, it's a feeling that I cannot explain, because every day you see we're fighting for one cause. Tomorrow you get another news that somebody has been raped. The statistics keep on increasing. It's not like when we are fighting for justice that we have the justice that we are seeking for. We'll have an amount of result that will give us courage that yes, we are achieving something. But you are fighting for this, another thing is happening. Just as I'm speaking to you, another case has been recorded in McKinney. Somebody who preached the word of God has sexually abused someone between the age of 8. And so sometimes when I listen about rape issues in Sierra Leone, I just feel like the society is very unsafe for women. There is no hope right now that's left in society. That's why I need my colleagues to be there out there to join us in this fight, because many things are happening. Some of those women don't choose to come in public to speak. Some of them remain in silence for how many years? So if we at least can provide a platform to support them, then we can able to reduce the number of rape cases in Sierra Leone. The thing that goes on in my mind is that it's very painful. I feel like I don't even feel like living in Sierra Leone, because the situation is very worse for women and girls. Because having witnessed it, and I know how other people will experience and how they will live with that kind of stigma for the rest of their life.
Sanders, why is this happening? I mean, you are out there, you're a man, you're talking to other young men. Why? What are some of your theories that you have to explain why this is happening? Why, as you just tell us about this case in McKinney, why a man who preaches the word of God is now being accused of sexually assaulting an 8-year-old? Why is this happening? What are your thoughts?
Because one thing I believe is not working is that the system that have been put in place are not effectively working. We have so many laws that have been put in place to ensure that perpetrators are brought to justice, but we are not having the amount of justice that we are seeking for or we are demanding for. And the laws, some of these laws do contradict themselves, like the customary marriage contradicts the Sexual Offense Act. You can see in the customary marriage, it said that someone within the age of 19 can get married with the consent of the parent and the district officer. As in the Sexual Offense Act, it says that someone below the age of 18 can involve in sexual activity. If you involve with any one of this person, what happens is a crime. But you see the two laws contradict themselves. So we need effective implementations of our laws, our act. It's not about going to parliament to discuss about this law, pass them into act. It's about the people who are responsible to enforce this law, ensure that they enforce this law effectively. They should not be biased in enforcing the law. Whosoever that commit some of any kind of atrocity in society, the law need to punish the person according to the law. But we find out that some of these people have been favored. You know, there are so many situations of rape cases. You find out that the rape cases you are fighting for today, you heard that this person is so and so, is affiliated with so and so individual. You find out that nothing goes as you expected. This person should be punished because this person has committed a crime. So there's too much favorism within the judiciary. I'm saying this because this is a big platform. I want people to know that justice is not well served in our society in Sierra Leone. The justice system is what the problem here is. That is why we are not getting enough of success with regards to reducing the rate of rape cases. Because if these people are really punished according to the laws that are being put in place, what happens if they punish someone today? It will be an example to the other person to say that, okay, this person has been punished. So if I involve the same punishment is what I'm going to experience, but nothing is being done. So that is why we find out that in society, the rape keep on increasing, sexual assault, domestic violence keep on increasing because the laws are not effectively implemented. This is the problem we are facing.
I think you're absolutely right. Justice is not well served in the nation. In terms of the culture, in terms of this rape culture, so there's the judiciary piece and how the criminal justice system needs to be reformed for the laws to be effectively implemented and for them to be cohesive and not contradictory. But what about the culture? This culture in Sierra Leone where women and girls are seen more as second class possessions or not having autonomy over themselves and their own bodies. How do we change that?
You know, it's a problem of mindset because the Sierra Leonean mindset, I don't want to say everybody in Sierra Leone has a fixed mindset, but majority of the people who have come across with regards to how they refile women and how they consider them to be as low class or they are incapable of occupying certain position or they're supposed to be at the back or the kitchen is their own best place to be. It's a problem of mindset. Most Sierra Leoneans have a fixed mindset in the sense that they believe that what their forefathers or their uncles or their grandparents have been practicing, saying the women should supposed to be in the kitchen, they're not supposed to take up leadership position and other things. That's the same mentality that's been going on. It's a culture that we need to modify. It's a culture that needs re-modification in a sense that we can change the mindset of the people, let them know that women also have control over their body. When somebody says no, it means no. Whether you marry the individual legally or whether you are in a relationship, be it committed or is not committed relationship, once the person has not given you consent, you need to let go of that individual. The person has control over his or her own body. So it's a problem of mindset that we need to change in Israel. The mindset is the problem.
How are your efforts being received by other men in Sierra Leone? Tell me what the response is to people around you as you speak up for these issues. Is it being welcomed?
Definitely, most men do not welcome the idea of men advocating for women and girls because they don't believe, me coming from an Islamic background, they don't believe that women should be at the forefront. Women should take up leadership position. Women should say no to their husband when they are legally married. But what I'm always trying to say is that sometimes if we say we can make use of some of these old ideas or we try to bring them back to say that we need to work on these things in society, we can go nowhere. We need to work with what the modern day society is teaching us, and it's the best thing because each and everybody has their own right. That's why we have numerous of laws, and that's how we have numbers of international declaration laws that govern how society should go on. If we said we are going to live in the way the people were living in the ancient days compared to now, none of us here will have a safer place because In their own days, only the strong survive. No, that's not a society I want for Sierra Leone. I want a society wherein everybody is equally treated, especially women and girls, because women and girls are the backbone of any society. They have a great role to perform. And if only they are being included in some of those things that we are fighting for, in terms of the leadership position and other things, we believe that we'll achieve greater change. One thing I learned today, I was at the IG office to seek for police clearance for our next protest that we'll be staging. It's a peace march. We don't want to go word of protest. It's a peace march. The deputy IG, who is a female, said that they have been looking for men who will come out and speak against rape, but they have not had any men's group that come on board to say we're against rape. So they were very much delighted at our effort and how we took it. We took it to that level until we got to them. We informed them that we need a police clearance because we want to stage a peace march against rape culture in Israel. But to say men in Israel welcome the idea of men advocating for women, especially survivors of sexual-related gender-based violence, definitely no. None of them agree. They frown at me. They don't buy the idea. They said it's not good for our society. Women should be like this, women should be like that. And I don't think it's that.
Wow. Before I let you go, a lot of people saying how they are so proud of you. Jai Kaba, we need more men to support you. A lot of people just saying that you are incredibly impressive. If people want to support the work you're doing, can you tell us just very quickly how they can do it? What's the name of your organization? How can they find you?
They can find us on Facebook, Mother's Choice Foundation. You can just type Mother's Choice Foundation, or you can send us an email. Yes, you can send us an email at mmcf2018wg@gmail.com.
Okay, Mother's Choice. They can go to Facebook and find you there. We thank you for the work you are doing. I'm saying thank you on behalf of everybody who's flooding the line here and saying how much they are impressed. Cecilia Greenfoot, I am very proud of you. Alimatu, tell them my son. Alfina by Faith says, anyone know how we can help support what this great young man is doing? So Mother's Choice. We'll keep saying it and we will push people towards you. Keep doing what you're doing, Santos. We are proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Safe. All right. So let's read some more of these comments. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us today and for everybody who's been writing in. Again, I am so moved to hear this young man's story and the work that he's doing and his commitment to it. Again, let me read some of the comments because there are lots of them. I'm going to go right to the top. People just saying, Yaya Jana, say it all, leader. We have real men in our society that stand up against all form of human rights violation against women and the girl child. People just standing in support with what Santos is doing. Fatmata Bintu, Foster Jones, the justice system in Saloon needs bleaching. It definitely needs reform. I mean, the fact that we're hearing of cases taking years, the fact that there's a conviction rate of less than 3%, the fact that the laws themselves can be contradictory, it clearly speaks to a need for things to be reformed, and that is absolutely necessary. D. Halston King, an intelligent and articulate young man. Well done, Santos. Absolutely, just so impressed with him. Anita Koroma says they want to twist the truth by saying that the girl fell on a tree, but Rainbow has examined. Okay, so I believe this is in reference to a case that is working its way through the system as they try and figure out what happened. I'm going to leave that one for a second. Nene B says laws on rape need to be effective. Fatmata Bintu Foster Jones says, do they have lie detector tests in Sierra Leone? I actually don't know the answer to that, but I feel I could say no. But if I'm wrong, please correct me. Anita Koroma says, our majority of poor innocent families are not given the right they deserve. Mothers are left alone to fight for justice for their girls. Please, we need lawyers to support the 2 cases here in McKinney City. We need a special court to speed up cases without delaying justice. So 2 cases out of Makeni, as told by Anita Koroma, and we're going to look into those cases and see what more we can learn about them. But Calling for Lawyers, which is a consortium of lawyers who are providing free legal aid to survivors, they're calling for them to look into those cases in Makeni also. Also looking at just, again, so many people writing in just to say how impressed they are with Santos. So I hope he leaves heartened, having heard the support he's getting from all of you. And please look out for him and go to Facebook and look out for Mother's Choice. That will be much needed support for him. All right. So we're going to turn our attention now to coronavirus and the pandemic, which continues to wreak havoc right around the world. The United States has dominated much of the headlines in recent weeks as cases here go past 3 million, and number of those who've died go past the 130,000 mark. But what about on the continent? What is happening in Africa? Let's take a closer look at the way the pandemic is affecting back home. Let's start with the 3 big numbers. According to Johns Hopkins University, the total number of confirmed cases right now in Africa, as you see there, stands at 524,184. So we've gone past the 500,000 number of cases there in Africa. In terms of active cases, 258,000, as you see there, 291. Total number of deaths, we've gone past the 12,000 mark. Now, according to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and Algeria. I'll say those again. Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and Algeria account for 71% of the cases on the continent. I want to drill down and give you a regional view of what is happening. In terms of confirmed cases, Egypt way out in front for Northern Africa, 78,304 confirmed cases. Number of deaths, 3,564. Despite those numbers, Egypt has decided to reopen its airports, and also the pyramids at Giza now open to tourists. But as you see there, the numbers in Egypt over 78,000. Algeria also on that list by Africa CDC. They have 17,348 confirmed cases. The deaths approaching 1,000. Back in June, Algeria started to ease off their coronavirus restrictions, opening up their businesses, opening up their restaurants, so basically saying transportation could start again, albeit with some restriction on numbers of passengers. Algeria is opening up. The numbers are also going up. As you see there, Morocco, also keeping an eye on Morocco because it's not that far behind Algeria. Morocco now over 14,000, almost 15,000 cases, 242 deaths. Let's turn our attention to Central Africa. Cameroon remains a hot spot in that region with a total number of cases of 14,916 and deaths 359 when we're looking at Cameroon, as you see there. The government has been facing criticism from certain quarters for not taking this seriously enough and opening up as the numbers continue to surge. DRC is facing a number of problems in the capital. There have been skirmishes between security officials and protesters. At the same time, the Ebola outbreak has ended in DRC, but the conflict in certain areas continues. Aid groups saying they're very concerned about what is happening in DRC, and a humanitarian crisis there is worsening. And you see the numbers there, 7,846 in terms of numbers of cases in DRC, 189 deaths. Turn to West Africa quickly. The outbreak in Nigeria is not slowing down. Confirmed cases, 30,000 plus. Number of deaths, 684. Those numbers have led the government to reverse the decision to open up schools. Final year primary and secondary school students will not be returning to school as had originally been announced. According to the education minister, that will not be happening anytime soon. However, their airports did open today for domestic flights in Nigeria after a 3-month hiatus. No date given for when international flights will resume. Ghana. Let's talk about Ghana, because there are a host of headlines out of Ghana. The second most impacted country in the West African region. Confirmed cases, 22,000 cases and increasing. Soon to hit 23,000. Number of deaths, 129. The president, as you may know, has gone into isolation for 14 days after being exposed. He says he's doing well. He posted a picture on social media yesterday. He seemed to be in good spirits, but he is in isolation. The Chief Justice is also in isolation in Ghana after reports that some judges tested positive for coronavirus. The Education Minister told local radio today that 90% of staff at the ministry had tested positive for COVID-19. The numbers and the conditions on the ground are cause for concern in Ghana. I mean, that is just what it is. It's also Ghana on that list by Africa CDC amongst the countries that account for 71% of infections on the continent. Quick check on my home country, Sierra Leone. Numbers there, 1,584 confirmed cases, 63 dead. Quick check of East Africa. Sudan's numbers have gone past the 10,000 mark, 10,084. Looking at deaths, 636. Since the beginning of this outbreak, public health officials in Sudan have been concerned that vulnerable regions could see a surge in infections, particularly the country's refugee camps. The healthcare system in Sudan in disarray after years of war and sanctions, and it is being severely tested by COVID. Sudan's numbers over 10,000. Kenya, the number of confirmed cases, 8,528. Number of deaths, 169. Basically, the government in Kenya has said that's it for school in 2020. They say that this is a lost year. All primary and secondary schools will remain closed until January 2021. Finally, ending with Southern Africa. And look at those numbers for South Africa. Over 220,000 cases, 224,665 to be precise. Number of deaths, 3,602. The numbers in South Africa are staggering. I mean, obviously out in front in that region and for the continent as a whole, 224,000 cases and counting in South Africa. A royal family in South Africa has confirmed the death of one of their own. A sister of the current Zulu monarch has died. 56-year-old Queen Noloyiso was admitted to hospital with COVID complications. She has passed away, and the president has said she was a bastion of traditional values and an inspiring and principled leader of her people. Zambia, again, Zambia's numbers, I mean, when you put them next to South Africa, 1,895, deaths 42, but neighbors of Zambia continue to be concerned, especially because of the truck drivers. They seem to be major vectors for the spread of the disease. So there you have it. And then, of course, you know, let's not forget Madagascar, just because they came out and said they had a cure. And they have right now 3,782 cases, deaths 33. They've gone into full lockdown for one of their regions. The Alamanga region has been shut down. Despite that, they've decided that they're also going to make the COVID organics in capsule form. We're going to leave that one there. All right, let's turn our attention and drill down into the situation in Ghana, shall we? Again, you heard what I said, the numbers in Ghana going up. President in isolation, Chief Justice in isolation. They got a lot on their plate. We want to find out what exactly is happening and get the very latest from somebody who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago. And he was telling us about his efforts with his private practice, private hospitals to respond to this crisis. Let's bring him in. Let's get Dr. Elkim Tamaklo. He joins us now from Accra. Dr. Tamaklo, welcome.
Thank you for having me again, Isha.
It's good to see you, but since I didn't want to give it away, I paused there for a second as I started to tell people you'd been on the show. But since you were last on the show, some stuff has been happening to you. What's going on?
Well, a lot. So the last time I spoke to you, since then, obviously the community spread. My whole family had coronavirus. We tested positive.
Whole family?
Yes. So it was, literally, a sequence of events. Really, it goes back to how the virus is spread, because when you have family members, close contacts at home, your guard is down, you're not using face masks, you're just really comfortable. That's really where most of the infection spreads. As compared to in hospital where, everyone is wearing PPE. I was not actually working at the hospital, I was doing remote work. But someone close to us, actually, they were fine. It's only when I realized myself and my wife were both unwell. And the reality is that we hadn't been anywhere. So in doing the tracing, we realized that actually was to do with a contact. Thankfully, we are all doing well. Our children were completely asymptomatic.
Okay.
And the benefit from the last time, we also became the only private, the first private entity to be doing COVID-19 testing. And that was really instrumental in picking up our diagnosis and meant that we could also prevent my family, my daughter from spreading it to my mom, as an example. So I think that's been our journey.
What have you taken away from your own personal, I don't want to say brush, the fact that you got infected? I mean, how has that changed your understanding of this virus and its impact?
I mean, I think a lot more awareness of the disease and the spectrum of symptoms. I think that obviously a lot of people didn't realize that my wife lost her sense of smell. And, a lot of people, because I decided to become very transparent, I did a video which went a bit viral in terms of its reach in the media. And because of that education of symptoms, people were able to then realize that they couldn't smell. They ended up then going to do a test and then found that they were positive. So actually, more people need to talk about their experiences. More people need to talk about the spectrum, that you can be completely well, yet still have the disease. So I think that's probably been the biggest lesson, that actually by sharing my story, by being transparent, actually part of education is not just the media, it's really about people's stories.
I mean, Dr. Targum, I mean, the case numbers in Ghana are going up, as you know, and the president is in self-isolation, just, being protective after being exposed. As I said, the Chief Justice is in isolation. You've had a number of ministers who've been infected. Give me your assessment of the government response to date since we last spoke.
I think that the government, in the early days, as an emergency, had to do a lot of work to align stakeholders. That's still been the biggest challenge, because capacity has always been the limitation. The testing capability was very limited in the beginning. And for us, we had to do a lot of work with the government in trying to simplify the process. In the end, we actually were able to get national guidelines for laboratories in terms of testing. But up to now, there still isn't enough. So I think that the speed or the urgency of testing is really key to preventing the spread. And so what you see now is actually a consequence of people not actually knowing their status, not isolating, and actually going around infecting other people, and that spread becomes larger than if it could have been contained in the beginning. So, you talked about the Ministry of Education, but whole ministries, I mean, it's really that someone was positive and really just kept on working and interacting with people, and the spread grew. So I think testing is absolutely critical to then do the contact tracing.
I mean, here in the United States, we're seeing that, and even here now, there's the problems with testing. There have long been problems with testing here in the United States, and bottlenecks in terms of getting the results back and all sorts of issues. But one of the principal issues that, we're witnessing here in the US is just attitudes, right? And we're not going to go into the level of insanity in this country because we don't have all day. But one of the issues has been just attitudes to taking this seriously. What's your sense in Ghana in terms of the level of seriousness being attached to this? Because I do have concerns that as governments open up because of the economic pressures, that people are just, they're just not taking it as seriously as they need to. But you tell me what you see, what you think there in Ghana.
So, I think things are changing. I think definitely that sense of nonchalance, that this is not a big problem, was very present. And I think that's why the numbers are increasing. However, what's changed is that as people have started becoming infected, especially when you talk about high profile, the president, ministers, I think that's when people are beginning to realize that this is actually more serious and more widespread. So the general wave, ever since the president went into isolation, what you're now seeing is actually a lot more sensitivity around, okay, if this can reach the government, then, how secure, how safe am I? So in some ways, I think people are beginning to shift their perspectives. However, a lot needs to be done in terms of not just hand hygiene or masks, but social distancing. It's very difficult when you look around and you see people, especially because it's an election year, People are going to register. The lines, a lot of people, how you manage that is difficult. So you definitely have the challenge of maintaining social distancing as well, but a lot more information.
Yeah. Dr. Salko, we're so thankful that you are doing better. Would you say you're well, you and the family?
We are, thank you. We've actually
Okay.
recovered.
We are grateful for that. Please stay safe. We're grateful that you continue to share your story, and we're going to check in with you again soon. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Be well. From Ghana, we turn to South Africa, and it's again, the situation is deeply worrisome. We talked to you about Ghana and their numbers approaching 23,000, but then when you look at the numbers in South Africa, close to 225,000 confirmed cases, 3,600 deaths. The numbers are growing. We want to get the latest on the situation there from a man who has that data and that understanding. Dr. Abdul Karim is a clinical infectious disease epidemiologist. He also leads the South African Ministerial Advisory Committee for COVID-19. He joins us now from Durban. Dr. Karim, welcome. Will you unmute, Dr. Karim? Sorry.
Yes, very good evening.
Good evening. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
A great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Karim, let's talk about South Africa. With those case numbers, 225,000 almost confirmed cases, over 3,500 deaths. Give me your assessment of the government response. You're leading the ministerial committee, the advisory committee on COVID.
So when we had our first case back in the 5th of March, we were very early in the stages of understanding this disease, but it became clear within the first 2 weeks that the epidemic was growing rapidly. It was doubling every 2 days. Mm-hmm. And so the government decided to act. The president declared a state of disaster, which meant schools had to close, international travel was banned, gatherings were restricted, and within a matter of about 10 days after that, declared a national lockdown, quite a strict lockdown. The day on which the lockdown was declared, on the 27th of March, the epidemic just changed its trajectory. It then slowed. During the first 5 weeks of the lockdown, the doubling time slowed from an initial doubling every 2 days to doubling every 15 days. Mm-hmm. And as we then started to ease our restrictions, the doubling time has now declined. And we are doubling roughly every 12 days, and it's coming down to about 10 days now. So we always knew that we were going to face a difficult time, because we have large sections of the South African population that are not able to implement social distancing and hand washing just because they live in informal settings. And we always knew that this was going to be a challenge to implement there. So what was critical was for us to just ensure we bought enough time so that we could be better prepared. So for example, if you asked me in February, could we build an 800-bed field hospital in the Cape Town International Convention Center within 7 weeks, I would have said, you're crazy. We'd never do that. Well, we just did. Yeah, the Cape Town Convention Center is an 800-bed field hospital. So, it's a lot has gone into this kind of preparation, whether it's to scale up testing. We're doing about 35,000 tests per day.
Where do you need to be, Dr. Karim, to get a full handle on this outbreak?
Yeah, I think because we have the cases rising now, the proportion that's testing positive is running close to around a third or so. No, a little bit less than about 25-30%. We would prefer to have that in that sort of range or slightly lower. In other words, more like 1 out of 5 tests are positive. So that means we're testing enough people to find the cases. We should be, at this stage, ideally doing closer to about 50 to 60,000 tests per day.
Okay, and you're doing how many? 35,000?
We're doing about 35,000. The problem is not that we don't want to do it. The problem is we can't get hold of the kits. We place the orders, we're trying to buy the same kits everyone else is trying to buy, and so suppliers just can't deliver. It's not a money issue, it's not a capacity issue. We can do actually well over 100,000 tests per day. We have, because of HIV and TB, it's exactly the same machines that we use for COVID. So that has been a rate limiting step for us. But I think on the positive side, we're seeing a case fatality rate that is well below the average, and that I think reflects high quality care and early care that's being made available, especially oxygen supply. And now, of course, we're using dexamethasone, and we should see that effect adding to the benefits we've already had.
Let me jump in there. A couple of things that I want to pick up on. One, with 35,000 tests roughly a day, not quite where you want to be, but as you made the point, it's about access to the kits. 35,000 day cases approaching 225,000. Are you still able to contact trace with those kinds of numbers, or have you given up? Because here in the United States, I mean, basically they're saying the numbers are growing so quickly, they just can't even effectively trace at this level. What about for you guys in South Africa?
Yeah, so we had always planned on how we would deal with this, in that we put a lot of initial emphasis on contact tracing and ensuring isolation and quarantine. We had created government facilities for those who could not self-isolate and self-quarantine. But, we could just never do it to the point where we could get to containment. That was a bridge too far. So we anticipated that once we got to a surge in each province, that it would just become impractical to do this kind of scale. And so right now you take the province of Gauteng or Johannesburg, we have nearly 5,000 cases per day. There's no way we're going to do contact tracing on 5,000 cases. It's just not feasible. So we are doing contact tracing in the provinces where the cases are much lower, and that's still part of our strategy.
Dr. Kramer, I'm out of time, but I do have to ask you very quickly, when's the peak expected in South Africa?
So I don't do mathematical modeling, but my colleagues who do mathematical modeling tell me that we should be expecting the peak somewhere in late August, perhaps early September. So that's what our anticipated based on mathematical modeling. There is one issue, which is South Africa has peaks that are differing in each of the provinces. So, for example, in Cape Town, they already seem to be at a stable level. We're not sure yet, but just early indications are, and Johannesburg's on the sharp increase, and some of the other provinces are still at quite a low level. So it looks like we'll peak differently in different parts of the country.
Well, Dr. Karim, we've been wanting to have you on the show for the longest of times. I'm so grateful for your time today. Thank you for your insights, and we look forward to welcoming you back very soon. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good to get that insight into South Africa and how they're faring and what lies ahead. So some big news for you. Today is our last show for a little while. Please, no panicking. We are coming back, I assure you. I saw someone ask a question as to why is this the last show for a while? It's largely because we have been going nonstop for 4 weeks. No, 4 weeks, 4 months rather. I've even lost track of time. For 4 months, and everyone has been working flat out. And we are just in a situation now where we feel we need to go on a little bit of a break and use the time to also develop a bigger and better show for all of you. We are so proud of the work we have done over the last 4 months. The show was born out of a desire to stand in the gap of coverage on the pandemic and how it's affecting Africa. And we wanted to be able to make sure that our people on the continent got the coverage they deserved and got to find out what was happening in real time. The show has expanded, as you've seen in recent weeks, to take in issues of gender-based violence and social justice and the fight for equality, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And we intend to expand the show further. So part of the reason we're going down for a little break is to recharge and redevelop the show. We will be back in September. We'll be back in September with a bigger and better show for you. I will be on social media and posting on Facebook. You won't get the chance to miss me. And we will be here and we will be listening and watching. But we feel that we just need to take a little bit of a break. Just a little bit of a break so people can catch their breath for a minute and develop something even better for you. We do want to show you how it all works behind the scenes here, because to say that this is a feat is an understatement. We have almost 20 people working on this show spread across the United States. We have people who are juggling children, a myriad of other commitments. We have people who just have all come together because of a belief in mission, a belief in our need to serve the continent, to serve the world. And we are so proud of everything and so grateful for all the time you've given us over the last 4 months. We want to introduce you to the team and show you what it takes to put together Home with Isha Sesay. Take a look.
Hi, this is Adia Josephson, and I'm an editorial producer on the digital show Home with Isha Sesay. How are you doing?
We were just calling to see if you can join us today.
Hey, you're at home watching Isha Sesay? I'm at home writing for Isha Sesay.
So where can survivors of violence go when they need help?
Another still string? Well, imagine that. All right, Alima, it's coming.
Okay, you got any desk up? I'm about to come to your computer now.
To ask her, can she hear you clearly?
Can you hear me clearly?
I can.
Okay, good.
Okay, and play the countdown for her so she can hear air.
Welcome home. As always, really glad to have you with us today. Thank you for watching. I'm so emotional watching that. It's hard to put into words what the last 4 months have been like. I want to say thank you to the team. I want to just take this moment to say thank you to everybody. I may actually burst into tears because those people you see there on that screen have given everything. They have given everything day after day. They have dealt with me in the middle of the night at the crack of dawn as we have surged to do the best show we could for you. And they have never said no. And they have always stood in the belief of this mission. So I'm so emotional. I want to say thank you to everyone on the Home with Isha Sesay team and say I am so grateful to all of you for believing in this mission and going on this adventure with me. Thank you. I'm so deeply touched by that, and so grateful that you could see what it's taken to put the show together. We are coming back. We're just taking a little break. As you've seen, people tying babies to their backs. That was my supervising producer, Alima Williams. Her husband has been leading the tech team and directing along with Thomas, you saw there, Adia juggling a baby. I mean, there's been a lot, but we are grateful. We are grateful. I am grateful to them. We are grateful to you for tuning in. We do want to leave you with a little bit of special baby news, a special addition to the Home with Isha Sesay family. One of our very special viewers, Muhammad Ali Jalla Jr., is going to be a father. Ali and his lovely wife Ashley are expecting a baby in October. The whole family, including the supervising producer who you saw with a baby strapped to her back, Alima Williams, they are all anxiously awaiting the arrival of baby Jallo. Please join us in congratulating the soon-to-be parents. It is beautiful news, and we wish them the very best. We shall bring you pictures of the new arrival. And just again, congrats to baby Jallo, who will soon be here, and Ali and his wife Ashley. Thank you to the Home with Isha Sesay team from me, from us collectively. Thank you to you for being with us throughout these last 4 months. Again, we will be back. Please do not worry about that. We'll be back in September with an amazing show. It's going to be bigger guests, bigger graphics, bigger music, everything. And who knows, I may return with a beanie. You never know. But watch the space. We'll see you soon. Thanks for now. Keep watching the space. We'll have something for you next week. So tune in next week. We'll have a show for you. But for now, we're going to sign off. Everybody's going to go off and find a corner and go to sleep and have a good night's sleep for the first time in 4 months, myself included. But watch the space. I'll be popping up in the weeks ahead. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Bye for now.